Okay, this is a video on how we made pet urns for pets like small dogs. We even made large pet urns for horses. We did this from 2004 to about 2010. I still have the molds that we used, and in fact, I'm looking to sell them. If anybody's interested, just give me a contact, an email or a phone call. At any rate, we had four models. We had on the small ones, we had the garden, the hill country, the mountain rock, and the river rock. These were just four separate little models that we had. We also had some large ones, which we had called the garden, the mountain, the hill country, and the river rock as well. But stick with me now. We'll watch through this video on how I did it.
This is a video on how we made some molds to be able to produce a rock urn for pets. We started out with a process where on the table you see a real rock, but it doesn't have a flat bottom big enough for what we need, so we frame it with a plywood form, and then we pour it full of concrete and let that dry, and now we have a flat bottom where we want it. Next we coat the rock with rubber, urethane rubber, to capture the texture of the image. After that rubber's dry, then we form in the middle a parting form that's made with plywood, and then I cast one half of the hard mold. I then let that dry, and then I take away the form and cast the other side of the hard mold, and that completes the molding process, and now we're ready to start casting.
All right, this particular hard mold and the rubber are put together right now. The hard mold is very poorly made in this one. The mud is really thin in areas, it's cracked, and it's not going to last. So my thought now is I want to make a new hard mold.
In order to make a new hard mold, I'll first have to put a casting inside the rubber. Using the old hard mold for shape, I'm going to make a casting in this rubber. Then, once that's done, I'll turn it back over and take the hard mold off and create a new one over the rubber and casting, so I have a formation that is the shape I want. As this guy, we've got a bad hard mold. So we take that off. It's no longer going to be usable. We throw it away. But what's nice is we do have a casting. Even though this hard mold was bad, it was still strong enough to hold together to give the shape. Now this is flat bottom, so what I'm going to do now is just take it out of the hard mold. And before I take the rock out of the rubber, I will actually make a new hard mold, and that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, I started out just by cutting two pieces of cardboard that would fit this in a close proximity, nothing real fancy, just to kind of give me a template. Then I cut it out of plywood, two pieces, because I can't get one piece to wrap around this, so I basically did that. And now I'm going to screw these two pieces together, but notice if I do, I can't get them off. I mean, I can't even get them around. What way I want it is you wouldn't get that off, see? But by having that break like that, you can. So now I'm going to mount this to the table.
Okay, so I've drawn two lines. This line right here, well, let me see if I can get it. The smaller line is the thickness of mud to cover this, you know. And then once I get this all covered, then I'll be coming up here and making a raise for a flange. That'll be what we bolt through. So I never did look at that, but you can see the light in the space there all the way around. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some clay to fill that to where it's right close to that, tighter than what you're seeing. That's not tight enough. Okay, I've got the clay in, and I'm spraying it with a little oil because the clay will crack while I mix up my mud and get ready to put it on. In a short period of time on a warm day, it'll crack. So I've got the clay in, I've oiled it, and I'm getting ready to make some mud.
And that has got it.
Okay, so this is dry the next morning, and I'm basically just going to take the plywood off so I can get this side to be casted.
Okay, I was taking a look at this, and I'm seeing a bunch of areas where I didn't push the mud up against the plywood and there was air. So I'm going to cream that with some paste, some cement paste, and just fill that in to make it nice and smooth. And I'm going to let that dry and then proceed. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just take a little motor oil and paint the cement so where the new cement won't bond to it. And that's even up here because I'm going to get some mud over and above. But the idea is just to get a good coat of oil on there, and it'll stop the new cement from bonding. And that has got it. All right, well, I've got everything grounded down, and the reason I just like that because when you put it together, you can see that it's fitting together. This one wouldn't want to be up from the other one. You can just see a nice continuation there, and obviously these bolt holes give us an alignment as well. Right now, I'm just going to take a chisel and see the line, and just take it apart. Now I'm damaging the mold right there a little bit, but nothing any real major. And again, that oil that I put on is what's going to stop this from being stuck together. So now that's coming off, and there she blows, and decided to try and pry it off this way, and there it comes. Just the initial stick. There we go. Okay, so we got that off. Future. But now, and this thing's been sitting in here for days, and I never released the actual rubber, so it's going to be a little fun getting this off. And there you have it. This thing needs just a little cleanup, but it's ready for reuse. Just push it back in. Now, the one thing I didn't address is when we made these rock urns, obviously it had a bottom with a cap so that you could put your pet's ashes in there and seal it off. And we would do this one of two ways. When you're casting this, you get the body casted, you put sand in here, and then that allows you to put the mud with the cap. You put the cap in here and you mud around the cap, and then that gives you a finish. The other way we did it was to literally have a piece of plastic, draw this shape, and then take it up. You got the shape down there, put you down a 1/2 inch of mud, set this into it, and just lightly finger this up and detail it, and that would be a way to mud it as well. So there was two ways that we did it.